Hello my fellow creators and welcome to my YouTube channel. It's time once again for me to participate in the Card Hoppin, a year of fun themes and techniques. Now this card hop is hosted by the ever so talented Jennifer Schoolcraft of our Handmade Happiness Facebook group. Now each month we get together and we create using a different theme and technique. Now this month's theme was anything but stamps, and the techniques were either to use a bokeh technique or a galaxy technique. I've decided to go ahead and use a bokeh technique of sorts. Now when I saw what the techniques were, I did go on to Pinterest and check out different bokeh or galaxy style cards, and those different cards I saw did give me some inspiration. So I'm going to go ahead and use a stencil of circles to make my bokeh effect. Now the stencil I'll be using is by Simon Says Stamp, and it's Polka Dot Party. I'll be using several Gina K inks. I'm going to use Lucky Clover, Key Lime, Wild Dandelion, and Lemon Drop. And those 4 colors will be for one card. And then for the second card, I'll use Tranquil Teal, Ocean Mist, Passionate Pink, and Bubblegum Pink. And since we're not using any stamps for my sentiment, I'm going to use this adorable die by CZ Designs. The sentiment simply says boop. And if any of you have watched CZ Design, you know that when she adds her sequins or embellishments to her cards, she makes a little boop sound to each of the sequins, and I just love when she does that. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to one of my cards today. And then to the second card, I have some foiled and die cut sentiments that were sent to me by a crafty friend, and I'm going to use those for the second card. I think I'm going to use the Happy Birthday sentiments. Now I'm going to do my ink blending on some Canson Smooth Bristol paper. Now the blending brushes I'm using are just some blending brushes I got off of Amazon, and I'm using these for my dye inks. Now I'll see if I can find a link and add those to the description box below. Now I'm going to go ahead and start with my yellows and do my ink blending. I won't clean the stencil between the 2 shades of yellow, but I will clean it once I change from the yellow to the green so as not to have some cross-contamination of colors. Now as I ink blend with each color, when I go to my second color, I rotate the stencil 90 degrees. Then I go to my third color, rotate it another 90 degrees, and for my fourth color, rotate it one last time, another 90 degrees. And that way the polka dots are actually in different areas on the card. So this stencil worked out just perfectly for this technique. All right, let's take a look at how that came out. And I really like the look. And I typically don't use yellows and greens. I tend to go with the pinks and the teals and the purples, but I really like the way this color combination came out. So I'll set that aside and I'll trim it down, and then let's start on our second card panel. Then I got each of my stenciled backgrounds and trimmed them down. And I trimmed them down to 3 3/4 by 5. And then the mats I've trimmed down to 4 by 5 1/4. And that will give me a nice little mat and border around each panel and mat on the card base. Now off camera, I did go and cut out the boop sentiment and shadow. And I cut it out using some black cardstock from my stash. And then for the yellow boop, all I did was pull in a scrap of light yellow cardstock and then ink blended over it using just the ink that was left on my blending brush. For the shadow of the boop sentiment, I simply cut that out of some vellum I had in my stash as well. And then I'm pulling in some Sequins by Simon Says Stamp, and it is the Lucky Charms sequins mix, and I got it in a card kit several years ago. So I'm going ahead and adding just 2 groupings of 3 on each of the opposite corners of the card, the boop card. And then there are some little stars in this sequins mix as well, and there are little gold stars. So I've decided to add those to my happy birthday card, and they turned out really pretty on there, I think. So let's go ahead and attach my sentiments and sequins to the cards and get these cards finished. And I'm simply using my Barely Art craft glue to attach the sentiments and the sequins as well. So as I add my sequence to my boop card, in the great words of the ever so talented Kathy Zilski, boop. And now that I have my sentiments and sequins added to my card panels, I'm going to go ahead and attach those to my A2 size card bases. And these are top folding card bases. Now, before I recorded this video, I did try out this technique and made 2 cards. So you'll see to the far left, I made the boop card, but with a green sentiment in the center. And to the far right, you will see I made a birthday wishes card. I like the way they all turned out. So here are my 4 completed cards using a Bokah technique and no stamps whatsoever. Make sure you check the description box below for links to all the other wonderful creators participating in this month's Hop. Thanks for sticking around to the end. I'd be thrilled if you subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me on any of my other social media platforms. As always, have a beautiful, safe, and creative day. Thanks for watching. Bye.